what's up, everybody? It's Alan from Breaking and Entering, and we are here with Justin Perkins from Mystery Room Mastering here in Wauwatosa, and came to visit the studio and check things out. So,
yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, definitely. So, I guess the first thing that I would ask, because a lot of people don't seem to know, what is the difference between mixing a record and mastering a record? Before I get into that, I should point out, Justin has done a lot of work with Milwaukee acts. You may see his name on a lot of credits sheets all over the place. And you may see him in a lot of places that you don't know, that you might have heard his work and not seen him before. So yeah, with that, what goes into mastering a record? How is that different from mixing?
Well, the mixing would be deciding the levels of all the instruments and any effects that you'd like to hear on the instruments, just balancing all the tracks that you layer up. And when the song comes to me, it's a stereo file, so I just have the left and right channels. Anything that I do to the sound is going to affect all the instruments equally. So I couldn't, for example, I couldn't turn up just the vocals. I could try to find some frequencies where the vocals are, give them a little boost, but if there's something else there, that's also going to get increased. So it's usually more small and subtle changes.
Okay.
If there's any serious issues, it's usually something you would want to fix in the mixing process where you have the isolated tracks.
Okay.
So for me, one analogy is mixing is looking at the trees and mastering is looking at the forest. It's more of a global view, especially when you're talking about doing an EP or an album. It's making sure all the songs have the same apparent loudness and level, and that the tones are the same, that the low end, you don't get to one track and all of a sudden has way too much bass or too much treble and brightness.
Right.
Things like that. So making sure the songs work together as a group. And it's also a form of quality control. I listen in a very, as you can tell, very quiet, isolated room where I can hear a lot of details.
Sure.
And I have a nice set of headphones where I'm listening for clicks and pops and other noises that may have gone unnoticed.
Okay.
In the mixing process, when you're focused on arguably more important things than that, but it's a little bit of quality control too. I've spent a lot of time cleaning out little noises that may have gone unnoticed. And also, as we make it louder in mastering, that's another aspect to it. Some of those noises tend to creep out a little bit out of the woodwork, and you didn't realize that they were there. I can fix those pretty easily.
Okay.
There's software it's basically like Photoshop for audio, where I can see little noises and things and draw it out if I need to. You don't want to go overboard and ruin it, make it too sterile, but it does come up fairly often. So and again, then the loudness, making sure it's the appropriate loudness and optimizing it for different formats. A lot of the people I work with, they'll do vinyl.
Okay.
So it's usually best to make a master that's optimized for vinyl, for lacquer cutting.
I was just about to ask, is there any difference in, mastering something for vinyl versus saying, okay, this is going to go mainly on Spotify, or this is going to go, this is going to be mainly streaming predominant?
Right. I'd say, 90% of the work is the same. It's not like I have to master it twice, once for streaming and once for vinyl, but you get it to a certain point and then you take a turn. Usually after the digital mastering is approved, then I go ahead and prepare something that's special for vinyl.
Okay.
And it usually means turning off the digital limiting that makes it really loud in a brick wall, because that's not very vinyl friendly.
Right.
And the loudness of the vinyl is actually determined by whoever's cutting it. So there's another step after me.
Huh.
It's interesting, for streaming and CDs, I'm the last person that touches it. What I do is what goes out there. With vinyl, there's still one more person that has to cut the lacquer.
Right.
And you need to leave him headroom to do his thing.
Okay.
And the loudness of the vinyl, it also is determined by how long the sides are.
Yeah.
How much low end you want to keep. There's other factors, so it's good. So it's not like making the loudest digital master in the world is going to mean your vinyl's loud. It actually can work against you. So there's things, and it's the same in the streaming world. Services like Spotify, Tidal, those have this thing turned on called Loudness Normalisation, where it sets the same level of playback for all the songs, which I think it's a good idea, but it's frustrating now because the standards are not the same, and for instance, Apple Music doesn't have this on by default, so it's off. So it's really
so you have to kind of adjust for.
It's confusing to the artists and bands about what's going to happen, and I think eventually Apple Music will have it turned on.
Mm-hmm.
But the point being is, as you reach a certain level, then they start turning it down, so you start working against yourself. In some situations, so you just kind of have to find a sweet spot where it works on a CD in a non-normalized situation, and then in the cases like Spotify and Tidal, where it's on by default, that it doesn't sound like it's just dwarfed.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a lot of things to consider with mastering now. I mean, in the 90s, it was kind of simple because you made the CD master, and that was it. And now we have CD, vinyl, streaming, cassette now is coming back.
To sound good on a cell phone. How do I make this sound good? You know,
and it's interesting because Instagram is in mono, so if you take a loud master and collapse it to mono, that can get distorted. So I've had clients say, and other people say, you know, my music sounds terrible on Instagram.
Yeah, well, of course, because
it's
the product of the technology, not necessarily the person behind it. Yeah.
But there's all these variables to consider, so it's a little more complicated, and it's not hard, but it's just someone has to be aware of these variables and how to manipulate them and manage it.
Nice.
Because you can run into situations where it sounds fine in your studio, but in all these various places.
Right.
You can run into some little problems or sometimes big problems.
Okay. Speaking of studios, you guys are here in Wauwatosa. You're relatively new to this area, right?
Yeah, I used to have a studio in Bayview.
Okay.
And I moved over here briefly like 6 or 7 years ago, but then back to Bayview, and now I'm back here in Wauwatosa.
Okay.
In the Wire and Vice building with Daniel Holter.
Yeah.
And there's a few other people working here as well. It's a really nice room and building, and other than the traffic getting through over here, once I'm here, it's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes the traffic can be a little brutal, but
yeah, definitely with construction and everything.
But
you've had a ton of Milwaukee acts, you know, that you've worked on, and acts outside of Milwaukee too. What would you say for you has been like the biggest record that, you know, or one of maybe your favorite ones or one of the most memorable that you've worked on?
Yeah, that's going to really just depend on your musical radar and what genres you're into, but some bigger ones would be a band called Bash and Pop, which is Tommy Stinson from The Replacements.
Yep.
After they broke up, he made a solo record in, I think, 94, which I ended up remastering that recently with bonus tracks. But then about 3 or 4 years ago, he made a new Bash and Pop album that
What you worked on?
Yeah, I worked on that. I ended up playing live in the band for a little bit too, but I couldn't keep up with the touring schedule.
That's awesome, though.
Too much. But yeah, it's good it was really cool to get out and be in a band and remind myself of what musicians go through, because sometimes I'll send out a master and I don't hear back in a day or 2 or 3, and I'm like, well,
what's going on?
What's up? Did I totally ruin it? Did they hate it? And then doing that, I realized, man, sometimes you're just on the go. You're in vans and planes and airports, and you don't have time to
go listen to a master or listen to it properly.
Yeah, so it kind of gave me a little reality check there. But so I did that for a solid year or so, but I just had to give that up. So that was a big one. You know, I've done some stuff with Screeching Weasel, which is pretty big in the punk world.
Totally.
All sorts. You know, the thing with mastering is I can do an album in a day comfortably. So it's I work on so many projects. People ask me, you know, what are you working on? And I have to like look at my calendar
and be like, what am I working on today?
Or what have I done recently? Because I just can't remember it all. Because it's very fast paced, especially now that people are more doing singles and EPs instead of albums.
Right.
You know, I can work on a few different clients in one day and different genres. It's very fast paced. So but more recently, you know, locally, I just finished up Abby Jean's album, which will be out. She just put the first single out. I'm not sure about the album release.
Yep, but you can find on Breaking and Entering as well. Music Box Dancer.
Right, I saw you posted that. Yeah. And the new Kane album, which you just said came out today.
Yes, which you can also check out on Breaking and Entering.
Yeah. You know, more earlier this year, the Field Report album that came out.
Yep.
And he just did a cassette-only release of some like acoustic versions that they actually recorded in the room next door.
Oh, wow.
I think acoustic versions of the whole album, just really stripped down and a different take on the songs.
So it's all in one shop here, really, between Wire and Vice and Mystery Room.
Yeah, we got Daniel Holter producing bands. Nick, there's a guy named Nick here that he does a lot of mixing and overdubs and producing and stuff like that. We got Ian Alvera just engineered the Driveway Thrift Dwellers album.
Yep.
And I'm done mastering somewhere in the production stage. You know, they're doing vinyl, so that takes
a little bit,
easily 2 to 3 months. But that'll be out soon.
Okay.
That was a cool one where Ian engineered the sessions and then Daniel mixed it. So
Right. So it was all done basically in-house.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in here.
Yeah. Wow. Do you think having a musician's ear, being a musician yourself, do you think that affects mastering? That it makes it a little bit easier? That it's something more that you're gonna dig as a musician?
Um, I think having a musical background helps engineering in general. I mean, I've known a few recording engineers that don't play any instruments, and they manage to do it. But I think it can be helpful to especially when you're producing a song.
Right.
If you're trying to help a musician figure out a part, or if their intonation isn't right, you can speak to them in a more musical language.
Yeah.
But just in general, I mean, just being around music for so long, I've been playing in bands since 5th or 6th grade, if you really go back.
Oh, wow.
It just helps your ear
Yeah.
be developed and know what to listen for.
Sure.
But you're never done learning. Your tastes change. I learn new stuff every day.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm done learning. So.
So if an artist wanted to book or a band wanted to book a session with you, would they be able to come in here? I mean, you've got this great setup. Would they be able to come in and take a listen to stuff, or is it kind of more like an over the internet thing, or how would you would you guys accommodate for that sort of thing if somebody wanted to come in and listen to a mix?
Yeah, I've been having more clients coming in now for attended sessions. Usually not the whole session because I don't always work in a linear fashion. Sometimes
Right.
I will work on it, get it to a certain point, and then come back and do some final adjustments, and then.
Sure.
And the other thing that is interesting, and I had this problem when I shouldn't say problem, but before I was mastering, I would go to a mastering studio, and I'm not familiar with how the room sounds, so
Yeah.
it's not so easy to make suggestions because you don't know how the sound system, this is a pretty neutral listening room. The speakers have a very low frequency response, so you can hear the lowest of the low frequencies, so it's kind of disorienting to come in here because you may come in here and have some ideas, but then you get out to where you normally listen to music and it's way off. So
right.
I like to get it at least started and send a version before people come in. A lot of times what's good when people come in is for the song sequencing, like deciding how much space to be between the songs, or if this song needs to overlap with that one.
Sure.
It can be done over email, but sometimes it's easier if they just come in and listen to it.
Sure.
And say, yep, sounds good, or let's add a second between this song.
Yeah.
But I do have because I work with people all over the world, I have a pretty automated system too for submitting projects, and you can go on the website and put in how many songs you have.
Right.
All the variables. It'll give you the cost. You can send it right to me.
Okay.
It really cuts down on all the emailing because I don't have to ask like 20 questions.
Right. It just has it all right there.
I have all the info. You can upload the files, and I also offer like a free test master of a song. So you send me a song, and I master it, and you say it's great, or you say, can you do this or that? And then once we get one song dialed in, then I have kind of a template for the rest of the songs.
Sure.
Or maybe not a template, but a goal, or
you have an idea what you want, what they like, what you like, where that happy medium is.
Where we should go with it. And then I also never, and this goes back to before I did attended session, I never send the invoice until you're happy with it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And I'm going to be honest, there's been a handful of projects over the years where it just didn't work out, different styles, different tastes, and I wouldn't feel right charging them for that because they can't use it, and I just chalk it up to a learning experience.
Yep.
So it's a pretty low risk thing in my opinion, but yeah, people can come in if they want to. I just I have a thing on my website too about attended sessions and why they aren't always the greatest idea.
Yeah.
I think I do my best work when I can focus and I'm not uninterrupted, and I'm always willing to share. It's not like I don't want people to know what I did. I'm willing to share information and answer questions. I'm always replying to emails and things like that. It's just I think you get my best work when I'm alone and can focus. But again, it was really helpful when Abby came in towards the end of her project to do a couple little adjustments, and then we were done. And it just sometimes there's decisions that you don't know the answer until you're in the middle of it.
Until you're there and you get that kind of back and forth.
Or the conversation brings out the answer. But sometimes changes are best done in a list, like do this at this time, do that, Sometimes lists are good and sometimes conversation is good. It really just depends. So anyway, that was a long answer, but yeah, I mean, people are welcome to come in for all or some of the mastering session. But again, I don't, especially for albums, it's not really conducive to that because I may dial it all in the afternoon, print it, and then in the morning come in and wrap it up. So it's not, you know.
Yeah. So if they wanted to get in touch with you, and if an artist wants to come in and they want to get a master, or even just learn kind of some of the basics or get something from you, get a test master like you said, how would they do that? What would be the website that they could find you at?
It's mysteryroommastering.com.
Okay.
There's a contact form, of course. There's a calculator form where you can just look at the pricing for all the options. If you have 1 song, 5, 10, whatever.
Okay.
All the release formats if you need vinyl. And then there's a way to upload files to me, whether it's your whole project or just a single song for a test master. You can just upload it and leave a note. It's all pretty easy. I don't have I do have an assistant. Ian helps me set up projects, but I don't have a email assistant person.
Right.
So I have it all pretty streamlined, so where you can get a lot done just by going on the website. But
nice.
I will always reply to emails.
Okay. So Justin, thanks for having us in here for a little bit to kind of talk with you.
Right.
If you want to hear any of the stuff that he's mastered, there's a lot of his stuff has kind of made its way to Breaking and Entering. I see his name, like I said, on credits all the time, and he does a lot of great work. So I would definitely say, if you have a chance, definitely check out Mystery Room Mastering. And anybody else you want to shout out real quick? Well, we got a couple minutes here.
Like I said, it's so hard to remember who I've worked with because it's very fast paced. I don't want to sound, arrogant or whatever, but it's just
you're on a lot of projects.
When you do an album a day or a few EPs a day and a few singles, it's really hard for me to remember, and especially as I get older, my brain isn't firing like it used to. But no, I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate getting to work with all the bands and artists from Milwaukee because I think. I've been living here for 10 years now, but I've been coming to shows in Milwaukee for probably over 20 years now.
Wow. Okay.
So it's great to see all the music scene getting stronger and more diverse, and there's a lot more support than there used to be now that we have what you're doing and some other websites and Radio Milwaukee, especially their HD2 channel.
Which if you haven't listened to that also as well is very awesome.
Yeah, just all Milwaukee and area music, so that's great. I think we're in good times.
Yeah. So, all right, well, if you want to check out more Milwaukee music, you can always do that by visiting Breaking and Entering at breakingandentering.net. We're all over the internet as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that. Justin's available as well all over the internet or your website, and then...
Yeah, website, Twitter, Instagram, all that. I'm in all the stuff. I'm on Snapchat, but I haven't really mastered that. That app confuses me just a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll find me on all the usual spots.
So if you get a chance, make sure to check out Mystery Room Mastering. Thank you.